Hey everybody, today is July, I think it's 18th, somewhere in the middle of July, and time to do a video on the truck that's for sale so we can see some detail. People are asking about it. We're in the middle of a 1 month long trip right now, and so you're going to get the lived in look. It's also pretty dirty. Um, and yeah, that's just the way it is, I guess. It's a realistic look at a truck for sale. So this is the first Roamer. It's called. At least that's what I named it. This is the prototype Earth Roamer that Bill Swales made when he started the Earth Roamer company. All right, we're just going to go around the whole truck, inside and outside. We're going to talk about all the systems and what everything does, how it works. Boring for most of you, but if someone's interested in this thing, they'll hopefully find this very useful. Okay, front bumper is all aluminum. I don't think it's custom made. The rear bumper is custom made. I think the front bumper was purchased somewhere. Who knows where. Very sturdy, very stout. We have spotlights are Hella. I don't know how big that is. Maybe 10-inch spotlights. They're HID. And they have a switch up on the steering column that kind of activates them, and then they come on when you turn on the high beams. So you get to you don't ever get to turn them on by themselves. They only come on with the high beams when the switch is activated, and the switch has a red background on it, so you know when that switch is on. These are driving lights down here, two little driving lights, and they're HID as well, and I believe they're Hella as well. In fact, you can see in there the little I don't know what they call that, like the little ballast box and stuff. They're all very impressive, very bright lights. And those are wired the same way. They have a switch inside that is backlit, so you know if it's on or off. And then when you flip on the brights, those little guys will come on, only with the brights. Two fog lights, those are Hella fog lights as well. They have their own independent switch. They're not wired in with the bright switch at all. We have a Warn 12,000 pound winch. You can kind of see it a little bit in there. Still a metal cable in there. And okay, let's talk about the grill. That's an aftermarket grill. The original it was aluminum and plastic. The original one was it had some cracks in it and it was rattling like crazy. It was driving me crazy, so I put this other one on. And also under here, I'm not going to get into too much detail about the steering, but let's just say that all of the steering components have been replaced. It's now a Heim joint steering system. New track bar. New, I can't remember the names of them all at this time. But it's very tough. You can see the bracketry in there, and it's also a new steering box, and there's that steering brace. So I didn't want to have to deal with any of the known issues of the Dodge steering, and so it's all been replaced. It's a new steering stabilizer. All this is done within the last year, and like I said, it's mid-July 2017 right now. Oh, the truck's for sale for $54,000. Mag High-Tech front and rear differential covers, and one on the transmission oil pan as well. This is a Dana 60 axle. It does have an ARB air locker in it as well. Got a, pretty sure it's a Skyjacker 5-inch lift front and rear. So the springs were replaced. And then those are Bilstein shocks. There are two for each tire, and those have been replaced, I believe, within a year actually. So everything's solid under there and relatively new. Also, I had the gearing changed to 456, and that at that time we made sure that all the bearings and everything were okay under there. So I can't say the axle's been rebuilt, but I can definitely say it's been looked at and checked, and it's solid. All right, I'll try not to shake the iPad too much here as we go. The wheels are aluminum. They're forged wheels, a really strong version. And there's 5 of them. There's a spare on the back. Tires are Open Country Toyo AT2 Extreme. Oh, that word, not overused at all. The size is 35 by 1250 17. And they have, find a non-muddy section. Well, we'll check another one. The tire wear is really good. There's a lot of wear left. I think they have about 10,000 miles on them, and they're guaranteed to go 50,000 miles. They've been good tires so far. All right, those are telescoping mirrors. They do pull out, and they're heated as well. And that's a Nerf bar step right there. Up top, you can see those are sights windows. There's sights windows all the way around. They're European. And those are open all the way, those little windows. They have 2 settings. Actually, I don't think those are going to stay open on the lower setting because they're not mounted vertically. And then there's a screen and a shade for each window. And you see the clearance lights up there. Everything works. If something doesn't work, I will I'll mention it. Then when I say that, I mean lights and yeah, everything works. So I'm not sure if it's called the quad cab. Basically the front door opens, and then there's the suicide door opens halfway, and we have our bikes in there and stuff. And I'll of course do an inside the cab version as well, or video. That little thing right between the cab and the camper is that's just a temperature sensor for the inside-outside thermometer that's in the truck in the back. That is a water fill. We have just over 50 gallons of water on board, and it's a lock-in fill cap. That is a ProTech box, one of 4 square boxes all the way around the truck. All right, back where we left off. So this is one of 4 ProTech boxes on the outside. They are aluminum. They have locks on them, and then the handle. And pull a couple things out of here so you can get an idea of how big they are. So I have little shelves in, I think 3 out of 4 of them, and they're about, I'm gonna say they're about 18, maybe 20 inches square. They hold a lot of stuff. What we do is that's all of Barbara's bike gear, and then I have all of my bike gear in that one. And the other side is tools and recovery gear and jacks and stuff like that. But a lot of space in there. Yeah, we don't put that on back now. So that's the exhaust for the air heater. Trying to think of the name. S-Bar. I think it's a D5. I'm not sure. It's not a bigger one. It's one of the smaller or medium ones. One of my favorite features on the camper. Works very, very well. Completely different beast than the old Suburban heaters that come on standard campers. This is the exhaust port for the diesel, the Wallace diesel cooktop. All of the appliances on this truck are diesel, so that includes water heater, air heater, and cooktop. So there's no propane on this vehicle. There's an auxiliary diesel tank, which is right here. I think you can see that. There it is right there. That's 18 gallons. All of the appliances of the truck run off of that tank. But you can, of course, pump that tank into the main tank to use it as an auxiliary fuel tank for the vehicle as well. Alright, let's see if we can get a tire depth. Apparently I came through some pretty good mud on the way in. So there you go. You can see that. Here, I'll put a key in there. So, whoops. Make it on the video. I don't know, that doesn't really help much, but you can see there's plenty of wear left on the tires, at least where there's not mud. The rear axle is a Dana 70. The springs have been replaced with a pretty substantial spring pack. There are 2 rear Bilstein shocks on the rear, each wheel, like I said earlier. And then there are also airbags on the rear, just to help level. You can't see it very well. You can see it better on the other side, but airbag right under here. I'll show you where the fill is for those on the back. And let's see, that's a full floating rear axle, of course. Very strong, heavy duty. Marker light there in the back corner. There's the largest sights window. I was talking a little bit about those earlier, and I'll show you how those work from the inside. You can see up there the solar panels. There are, I think, just over 300 watts of solar panels. I'll get on the roof too and show you where those are. So there's 2 kind of mounted on that side angle, and then there are 2 flat up on top as well. And here you get a good look at the rear box from the side, flush mounted there. And that box, I'm just going to guess on the dimensions. It's about right around 2 feet wide. I'm going to say it's 4 feet tall, and I think it's 16. No, it's definitely not 16 inches deep. Maybe it's 14. Maybe it is 16. I measured it once. I was going to add a box. You see the whole truck has. I've got an appointment to take it in and have a guy touch up or maybe repaint based on cost. I don't want to put too much money into something I'm selling, but there are spots where it needs touch up done. So this is, see the corrosion, you can see there's some aluminum corrosion under the paint right there. So that needs done, and then this, it needs to be recaulked as well. So we'll probably get that done. Alright, I think that's good on the side. We're over here to the rear bumper now. So this one's custom made. I think I saw a receipt for $5,000 or $6,000, something like that. All the original receipts come with the truck, and anything that I've done where there's a receipt or instruction book is included, and this includes everything: the refrigerator, the compressors, the diesel appliances. We have all the original documentation for everything. And I've got a very extensive maintenance list that I've done. Okay, we're going to stop there just to keep the video from getting too long so we can mess with them. Alright, the rear lights are all LED. The middle ones, the orange ones, are actually not hooked up. I was going to hook them up, change them to clear and hook them up to the backup lights, but it's not that necessary because we have a rear backup light that's a Hella light. There's a rear 9,000 pound Warn winch in the back, and it's an earthhelmer.com thing. Rear step is pretty cool, very sturdy, and then the way it's designed is it's really neat. It just folds right up, so very simple. Oh, it's sticking on the shoe over here. And it just sits right there when you drive. Doesn't get in the way of anything. Got some recovery points here. And right there is where you fill up the airbags. You can see air springs, focus. Alright, anyway. We get the idea. So there's a rear air port for the onboard air system. And this step back here, the bumper's hollow, so you can flip this up. Hey look, dirty socks. That's awesome. So there's a winch in there, and I carry some oils, and there's a shovel, extension cord, tow strap, piece of firewood. Actually, that's pitch for starting fires. And then this right here is a rear air compressor switch. I don't know if you can hear that, but you can turn on the air compressor from the front, from the dash, or from the rear. And there's storage in the bumper, but you know, being the back of the vehicle, everything gets very dusty back here. Let's go ahead and pull those socks out right here. Okay, spare tire. It's mounted on a swivel, so it's a different tire. It's a general grabber. It's got quite a bit of tread left as well. That's hard to see. It's in great shape. It's been covered since it was taken off, and it's of course the same size as the others. So the rear tire bracket swivels. It just slides out, and then that latch clips on right there. So that's a shot with the tire out. You can see it's easy to turn. You just give it a shove, push it out of the way, and then when it's in, it looks like that. Okay. Alright, what else do we have back here? I have a little dog that wants to come out. We'll let her out. Alright, there are two sights windows on the back door. They do have screens and shades, but they do not open. You could make them open again. You just have to buy a couple parts. But the reason they don't is because if they were open and the door swung open, the windows would break. They'd get smashed on the box and be ruined. And they're a little spendy, so you wouldn't want to do that. Those 4 bolts that you see, here, let's try this. Right there, there used to be a, let's see, a bracket to put a 5-gallon jerry can up there, but this truck holds 50 gallons of fuel, and so I didn't feel like it was necessary to have that back there. There's a rear porch light up there by the license plate, and then you can see the 5 marker lights as well. Those are all LED. All the lights outside the truck are LED except for the headlights. And this square thing up here, that is, it's called the leaf antenna. It is for picking up local TV stations if you wanted to. And then that is the backup camera, and you'll see the screen in the when we get to the front, inside the dash area. And I'm going to pull out, I'm going to flip that antenna up. You see that little tiny black spot right, it's kind of weird, you see it right there. So that antenna just rotates up, and that's Velcro, and it just sticks right there. And then you can twist the antenna if you want to get better reception. I almost never use it. I thought I would, but I didn't. And then also up on top of the box is a telescoping foot from a tripod that I use to hang dirty clothes, clean clothes I guess, wet things, and the shower curtain after you use a shower. So I'm going to flip those out and then we'll come back. So there is the antenna just stuck up there. Nothing fancy, it just stands up vertical. So you can get good TV reception if you want. And then there's the telescoping pole. And you'd be surprised how important it is sometimes just to find a place to hang something outside. So that just swings out there, and you can hang a bunch of wet clothes and stuff from it. And I just want to show you guys where we are right here. So we're in eastern Idaho, and this is our campsite. And that's all that background noise. Oh, I've been putting my finger over the microphone, bummer. That's the background noise you're hearing. Alright. Back to work. Back to the tour. Because of where I'm parked and the time of day, the sun is not going to be our friend on this side. I think we'll walk up to the front and work our way across. So left side. Oh, that's bad. Sorry, poor video. Hopefully I'll be good to you guys when I edit. Front left tire, there we go. Driver's side, there's the windows again. I think we talked about the mirrors. Maybe that was another unedited or a cut version. So the mirrors both extend out and they are both heated. Nerf bar. And there's a little bit smaller sights window on this side. And there's the two ProTech boxes on this side. Tire and wheel. And here's a look at the airbags. I think they're Firestone airbags, but I'm not sure. And those just used to level. Basically, that's what I do. Is I put about 90 psi in them and then I leave them. So this is a port for power. You just plug a standard extension cord in there, and it charges the battery and also heats the water electrically if you want. So that big box right there is, well, let's just take a look. At the risk of taking too much time. That is fuel fills, front and rear. Lock, whoops, watch the camera. So the front one is the main tank, and the rear one is that auxiliary 18-gallon tank that I was talking about. And then flip that over there, and it's locked. There's the look at the bumper from the side, the tire, the latch. I think we're okay on this side. All right, let's go to the top. Okay, we're on the roof. When Bill designed this camper, he wanted to have a flat spot where he could come up and take pictures. So he has this Bomar skylight. That's kind of a marine thing. They're crazy expensive. That's probably $1,000 skylight right there. And he put that in there so you could come up from the bed right there, and then get on this flat space. Maybe if I walk over here, we can see it a little better. Hopefully that kind of shows it. So that's a flat spot, and then of course it's flat up here in front of the panels as well. And this camper is very sturdily made, so you can wander around all over up here without worrying about hurting anything. We have 300 watts. Well, let's see, 75 for each side panel, and those are 80 each. So that gives us 310 watts of solar on the roof, and it does quite well. Keeping everything running non-stop, basically. You don't have to plug in. I showed you that plug on the outside earlier. I really never use that. You don't need it because the water's always hot, for another reason I'll explain here later. And you don't really need to plug in ever. But if you park somewhere and it's in the shade, you know, maybe at someone's house or something like that, you would. So that is that's the vent for the composting toilet right there. And there's the backup camera, marker lights, the box on the back. Panels are all in really good shape. These panels are original, and I added the two on the side just to top up a little bit sooner. You can see that all of the seams are covered in the that's Eternabond tape. Amazing stuff. If you guys have any kind of issues with water, or you want to prevent it on your roof, that is the stuff to use. So we're sealed really nicely up here. We don't have any issues with water on the roof. And you can see this is all a one piece. You know, the camper's made out of this stuff called, oh, now I'm going to forget the name because I'm under pressure. But anyway, it's about 2 inches thick. Provides great insulation. It's very strong, and that's why I can stand on the roof here and not worry about anything. It's not like I'm walking across an aluminum top with, you know, 1-inch wood spars like some of the other campers. That's probably the greatest thing about this vehicle, is it's very strong. Okay, I'm back inside. Here's the rear box opened up, and I found I needed a place to work on or set up my tools when I was doing some maintenance or something like that. And so I had this box made. It's made out of aluminum. And what it does, it just folds up. I said box, I think I meant table. So this table just folds up into the space right here. So you really don't lose any storage space. It just kind of goes right in the very outside of the box. And then I have a Park Tool bike mount that I put right here, so I can work on our mountain bikes on the stand out here. And you can see all kinds of goodies in there. We keep, just to give you an idea of space, we have two loaded backpacks. There's a bike pump, there's a dog hike or a dog backpack, air hose, water hose, a hammock, a jumpsuit for working on the truck, some various tools, various supplies, caulking supplies, stuff like that. There's an axe. There's all kinds of goodies in there. That box holds a lot, but that's the table. I'll try to see if I can put it up without holding the camera. So this just flips up, and you can see how it's mounted. Basically, I was able to get an outside workspace. It doesn't work very well. I was able to get an outside workspace in there without giving up any storage space. And there you go. The box is closed. So I just reviewed some of the video that I did, and it kind of made me want to just do a little summary here on the outside and point out a couple of the reasons why this isn't just your typical Lance camper, and you know, why it's in my opinion worth the money that I'm asking for it for an older vehicle. And the biggest reason is that it was made to be very reliable, very strong, and survive, you know, doing some of the back roads and just the rough areas. It's been to Baja. I've taken it to Baja twice. Bill took it to Baja once, and him and I have both taken it to the Arctic Circle up in Alaska each. So it's seen some miles. It's seen some rough roads, and it's still here, and it's sturdy, and it's, you know, nothing's cracking, nothing's breaking, and you just can't do that in a standard camper. I had a Chinook camper, and I was considering, before I had this, I was considering doing a four-wheel drive conversion on it, and it just fell apart. I went down to Baja one time in the washboard roads, and the darn thing just fell apart on me. So I want to point out one other thing. If you really want to have a camper that can go off-road and have some good frame articulation and not tear up the camper box itself, you have to mount it in what's called a 3-point mount or something like that. So this rear bolt right here, the whole rear of the camper is mounted on that bolt, which is a pivot point. There's a subframe for the rear of this camper, and you can see how the gap on this side right here between bumper and the white line and the gap on this side are significantly different. Get back in, you'll see the whole thing. And the reason for that is that the camper is twisting on the frame independently, or maybe a better way to say that is the frame is allowed to twist on the back of the vehicle and not put those torsional pressures onto the camper box itself. So that makes it have the ability to articulate and go off-road and just go places you wouldn't expect it to go, actually. the articulation or the amount of travel you can get even with these solid axles on this camper it just surprises me oftentimes. I don't use the lockers to get into a place. I use them to get out if I kind of get myself in too far. I always have that as an insurance policy. And even so, I've scared myself at what I can go into with this. I want to say one more thing just to give you an idea of how kind of over the top the systems are in this vehicle. I'm going to use the air compressor as an example. So, you know, it's kind of standard to have a small, maybe a Viair air compressor on your Jeep or something like that, and use it for your lockers, and maybe you have an airport somewhere. But this vehicle, Bill just took it to the end. He took it much further than that. So, for instance, the air compressor is there, and that's a Thomas air compressor. I think it's probably about $1,000 to replace it. It's 1 CFM, and it is continuous duty. You can just run it for hours on end. So that's the beginning of the system. Then it goes into an air dryer. You can see it right there. Is it a Borgson? No, Nordgren. So you have a little mini air dryer on the system. And then it goes into a 2.5 gallon air tank, so you can store your air. And then of course the solenoids for the lockers are under there. And after you have your air, now you have a front air chuck, and you've already seen the rear air chuck. So that's just kind of an example of what the systems are like on the truck, and that it's not just, this isn't just a, you know, a camper that someone put together in their backyard and threw a little air compressor on. Everything's a little bit higher level. Also the air compressor can be operated from a dash switch, or it has a pressure gauge in the on the dash, and then there's the rear switch as well. So just kind of everything's well thought out and over the top, and I don't want to be too much of a salesman, but it is not your standard camper. I couldn't remember what the name of the panels were, and they're called Nitacor. So they're close to 2 inches thick. They provide insulation, and they're very strong, very sturdy. All right,